everyone, and welcome to AIM Lite. AIM Lite is a presentation of C4 Atlanta made possible by a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts Artworks program. This presentation is designed to give you a clear understanding of how to effectively market your creative offerings. Effective is defined as marketing that generates results and has the potential to lead to art sales. A little bit about C4 Atlanta. C4 Atlanta's mission is to connect arts entrepreneurs to the people, skills, and tools they need to build a successful artistic career in Metro Atlanta. My name is Jessica Holland, and I'm going to be your facilitator for this presentation. I am the Executive Director and co-founder of C4 Atlanta. A little bit about what we'll be learning today. The course overview. Part 1 will be marketing fundamentals. We'll move on to part 2, understanding your target audience. And then finally in part 3, we'll end with a little bit about social media. Now before we continue, it's important to understand that AIM Lite was originally adapted from a 3-week course called AIM, Our Artist in the Marketplace. Now in a 3-week class, you have a little bit more time to dive into these topics. AIM Lite is meant to be a brief overview of some marketing topics that are relevant to your artistic career. Marketing fundamentals. Has this ever happened to you? You hosted an event and no one came. You bought an ad and didn't get a single call or click or view on your website. You hired and fired a marketing expert. You've spent money on marketing, but didn't get results. A lot of artists and creative entrepreneurs market their products and services. However, it might not be effective. One of the biggest mistakes that people make in marketing is consistency. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later in this course. But if this has happened to you, continue watching this presentation. We'll talk a little bit more about how to go from putting information out into the world to getting results. So what is marketing? And do you really need it? Marketing is more than just a series of tactics like postcards or ads or Facebook events. Those are just things that you can use as part of an overall marketing strategy. But what is at the heart of marketing? So the technical definition of marketing from the American Marketing Association is: marketing is an organizational function and a set of processes for creating, communicating, and delivering value to customers and for managing customer relationships in ways that benefit the organization and its stakeholders. Wow, could that get any more boring? But what do we take away from that? Marketing is about processes and it's about relationships. It's about having a plan in place that you can replicate and repeat. And it's about getting to know your customers. It's about building relationships with them. It's about building trust. And it's about building a strong brand for your art. So what is marketing anyway? To understand marketing, it's important to know the difference between marketing, advertising, public relations, and branding. Although all of these are interrelated, they're not the same. Each has a different purpose. So let's think of marketing as a romantic relationship with the end goal being marriage. If we apply this analogy to business, the end goal would be the sale, and marketing would be the courtship process. Now, you wouldn't go up to a complete stranger off the street and ask them to marry you. And you can also apply this to business. It takes time to get to know people. Marketing is not sales. Again, it's interrelated, but it's the courtship leading up to the sales with the potential mate. How do you attract the right mate? Get to know them. Figure out what their dreams and hopes and desires are. Find out more about them. Speak their language. If you have a website, for example, and you're trying to sell art, and your language that you use on the site is really esoteric or uses huge fancy words that you learned in grad school, it may not be the right language to attract the kind of buyer who would be willing to purchase your art. Think about how to talk to people. Think about what kind of message you're sending out. Words can be really important. Look nice, or really more importantly, look the part. You don't have to dress in expensive clothing, and you definitely don't have to sell out. But just make sure that when you're thinking about how you present yourself, and not just your clothing, but your website and your packaging and your branding, look the part of the message that you want to convey to your patrons. Do what you say and say what you do. Don't have a disconnect between what it is that you're offering and what the patron will actually get. Be yourself. Be yourself. And finally, test, measure, tweak, and then repeat. Sometimes you'll find that you'll hone your language, you'll hone your look, you'll hone what it is that you say and how you present yourself to the world. Again, we're not talking about selling out or changing your art. We're just talking about how you present what it is that you want to convey, aligning that with your core values and your mission. So some common marketing mishaps include trying to do it all. Trying to do it all will exhaust you. But another mishap can be hiring someone else to do it all. It's your art. It's your products. Make sure that you include your voice in part of the process. Again, it's about relationships, and it's about conveying the right message to the right person who wants to buy what it is that you have to offer. Another mishap is trying to sell everything to everyone. You don't have to do this. Not everybody wants to buy everything that you have to offer, and that's okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to target marketing. Another mishap is skipping over the research part. You got to do a little bit of research. You got to put some time and energy into figuring out where's the best place to put a poster or send postcards or place an ad. This doesn't mean that you have to go into deep analytics or spend a lot of money. It just takes some keen observations and recording it and going back and visiting what you've recorded. Lack of consistency and repetition. I see this a lot. It's not a magic bullet that you send out into the world with one marketing message. And here's the thing, if you don't have a lot of money for something like a newspaper ad and you can only run it, say, like 1 month, that's not going to do you a whole lot of good. If you have a lot of money to spend on marketing and you can use it or purchase an ad in a newspaper and run that ad month after month after month after month, that's consistency and repetition. So figure out the platforms that you can use to leverage the most consistency and the most repetition. For example, a blog or using social media. All of these things offer the opportunity for people to have eyes on your brand. Now, remember, it takes typically the average customer 9 times to see your brand before they move to action. And what I mean by action is purchasing from you. 9 times. We are interrupted with a lot of noise throughout our lives and through our day-to-day. So remember, consistency and repetition. Too many tactics. You don't have to do every single marketing thing out there. In fact, pick one thing that works really well to begin with, move on to 2 or 3 other tactics after that. You can always scale up. As your business grows, add more tactics. But it may be easier just to focus on a few tactics rather than 1,000. It's not going to get you any more customers right out of the gate. It's better just to hone and do the research and figure out where people are and where you can put your message in front of them. And basing your budget on tactics rather than tactics on your budget is a big no-no. If you sit there and you write out all the expenses that you have in your marketing plan, but you have no way to fund them, then you're going to end up spending all of your money on marketing and not money on making your art or paying yourself or paying the bills. Remember, scale up. So getting to the I'll buy. So step 1, know thyself. And I know this may seem a little trite, but it's true. Know what it is that you have to offer. The one thing that I remind artists over and over again is that they are the greatest asset that they have. You are. Your ability to create, the education that has gone into the years of refining your art and learning how to hone your aesthetic. That's something that's important to know about. What is it that inspires your art? What is it that you want others to know about your art? Know it, learn it, write it down, play around with messages, get your friends to tell you a little bit more about how they see your art. but be true to those core values that you have. This is the first step in the marketing process. Not only do you have to know who you are, you have to know how to communicate who you are. You have to know how to communicate your offerings, and you have to know how to communicate it creatively. So step 2, know your customer. So you've spent a little bit of time getting to know yourself. Great. Now it's time to think about who your patron is. Who is the person who's going to be purchasing your art? What do they want? What are their hopes, dreams, and desires? You'll have to do a little bit of research in this part, getting to know who the customer is. And you can really start with who's purchased from you in the past, or who you think might purchase from you in the future. Why is it important to get to know this person? Because this step will help you figure out your marketing strategy, where to market, where to put your messaging, and how to message to this person. Remember, it's about developing a relationship, and there's a lot of key things that go into developing relationships more than just the transaction. So step 3, know your field, know your market. Who else is out there doing what you're doing? Or who else is out there doing what other people may think is similar to what it is that you're doing, even though it could be completely different? Now, a lot of times in the art world, and especially with artists, we know that the word competitor can make you cringe. Because the art world, in my experience, is a very collaborative world. It's a very supportive world, and it's a very loving world. At least in Atlanta, it is. And I find that for the most part, people are genuinely good. They're not out to get you. But unfortunately, in a marketplace, we do have competitors. And those competitors may be real competitors or perceived competitors. Think about what makes you unique. Don't think about necessarily what the faults and weaknesses are of the other artists, but think about your strengths and leverage those strengths. And it goes back to really getting to know yourself. You are the one who knows the most about your art. You were the expert in your art. Leverage that, communicate that. Now, you do want to do a little bit of research on what other people are doing in the market. For example, if you're just starting out and you don't know how to price, it's good to figure out what other people are pricing. What is this market going to produce for you? The market in Atlanta is going to be a different market than the market in New York. It's going to be a different market than LA or Chicago, and it's definitely going to be a different market than some of the smaller cities that we have throughout the Southeast. And that's okay. It's just different. So get to know your own field and your own market. This will help you with messaging. It'll help you figure out how to differentiate yourself. It'll help you figure out your pricing strategy.